till we introduced GST, India used to have an extremely complicated indirect tax system. There were different kinds of taxes all over the country. The different states had taxes, even different cities had taxes. People have forgotten already, but there used to be something called octroi. And even, goods going in and out of a city would be taxed at a different thing. So you can imagine how confusing and complicated this was. So it was so complicated that it was easier for Mumbai to trade with Shanghai than it was for Mumbai to trade with Delhi. Because if a product went from Mumbai to Delhi, it had to go through all these state borders, then trucks would get stuck. There would be different rates, there would be smuggling. This is a source of a lot of graft that used to happen because obviously tax rates are different in different states. So I can imagine there was, forget smuggling in and out of India, there was smuggling in between states in India. So all of this complicated stuff was going on. And then we introduced GST that for most products, I would say 99.9% of products, we now across the country have the same tax system. This is a radical change, okay? Simply trashing the old system and introducing a new system. Now, it is something we had debated, by the way. Everybody knew this problem, by the way. It's not a new problem we discovered in 2017, okay? It's a problem we knew for decades. And for decades, we said we must do something about this. Then finally, it was done. Now, when it was done, those who introduced it knew that it wouldn't work for many months. Now, everybody says, oh, it didn't work for so long. Of course, it won't work. If you do any radical change of that kind, it won't work. It won't work partly because the website, etc., will have problems. It won't work because you will find unintended consequences. In fact, most of the things that went wrong weren't the things that people had predicted, but were things that nobody had predicted. Nobody had predicted that the correction button in the form XYZ, whatever it was going to be the major problem because it didn't work. Everybody had predicted 200 other things. So the point is that the GST system could only be made to work through an agile approach. You introduce a reasonable system. I'm not saying introduce a bad system, introduce a system that is reasonable, then fix it along the way. If we had waited for a perfect system, we wouldn't have been able to introduce it even today. And kicking and screaming, it eventually gets done. So that is generally true for most changes. Even I can tell you the changes needed in the farm laws. You ask any expert on farming, we'll eventually have to get away from this business of growing large amounts of cereals, which we don't need to eat. We are expending huge amounts of resources to subsidize the growing of grains we don't need, poisoning the earth with chemicals they should be pumping into them, pumping out groundwater, which climate change will probably mean that at some future date we will need this water, and we're pumping it out. This is a completely wasteful, and then we put it into a marketing system that is also completely wasteful, where neither the farmer nor the consumer benefits, but there is a huge inefficient middleman system that causes inefficiencies and extracts rent. Clearly, that system had to at some point change, and everybody agrees it needs to be changed. Right? Even those who are now opposing these changes do not disagree that there is a problem. Now, okay, maybe the changes we made need to be tinkered at the edges to smoothen them. Okay, that's fair enough. But the only way you'll be able to make these changes is to introduce them, start the political process, start the debate, and through iteration, smoothen out the edges, and then finally get it done. But if you do not push for those changes, they will never get done.